Good evening, everyone. How are you both?
Oh, I'm good. Bit of a techno fail with that video then. Didn't realise it was going to auto finish.
I love that new video. A great new introduction.
Yeah, so our new three-piece team.
Yeah.
Just felt fitting to have a new intro.
You know, the music's really jolly as well. I really enjoyed it. Dawn, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very good. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you very much. So, welcome. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Just a reminder that the views that we share tonight are not that of our employees and our organisations. So, how's your week been, Adam and Dawn?
Oh, Dawn, you go first.
Well, I feel a bit bad for saying that. I've had a nice week.
That's not a bad.
How do I remove Dawn from the chat?
I'm officially on annual leave because it's my birthday this week. So I've had a nice week and I've been catching up with people. It's been nice to see people other than on a screen, actually face to face and in person. I actually sat in a cafe today and had a cup of tea with a friend. I haven't done that in probably 2 years. So yeah, it's been very nice.
What did you have for the cat?
Only a cup of tea. It was nice. So, you know, when you're sitting in front of people and you're actually having a face-to-face conversation instead of doing it through text or FaceTime or WhatsApp video, it was really lovely. So I've seen lots of people today.
Is it nice to see legs again?
Legs.
There's so many people that, well, even like you two, that I've never actually met in person. Like, yeah. That you just
I've got stunning legs. You can't wait to see them, honestly.
Well, we've seen your feet on some of the meetings, so don't worry about that.
I'm a bit gutted, actually, because OnlyFans shuts down all that sort of content, doesn't it, from the 1st of October? So all my feet stuff's going to have to stay to myself. It's a joke. Oh, my week. Oh, it's been horrible. I'm not going to lie. I want to sit here and be positive and talk about social care, and I won't talk about it too much because I will just sit here and cry. Staffing at the moment is horrendous. I hate using the word staff. I hate using the word staffing. We're all friends and colleagues at Keppelgate, but it's just been a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. I've had agency pull out left, right and centre. We've struggled to find agency to replace. We're still struggling to recruit. I mean, I've managed to take on 2 wonderful people recently, but then obviously we're waiting for DBSs to come through and references and induction periods. And we've got this looming crisis that's heading our way from 16th of September, really, isn't it? And I think if they've not had it from the 16th of September, the fate's pretty much sealed unless they do a full U-turn and think, actually, yeah, I will have it. But then that brings another multitude of problems. So it's just been absolutely horrendous. I mean, on Monday, it's not even just us care homes. On Monday, there was not enough district nurses to come and see our care home. So it's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers, and I'm absolutely exhausted. And I just want to big my team up. On Monday, I had 2 members of the team, absolutely fantastic. They worked their absolute socks off. I sent someone out to go get them a bunch of flowers and a bottle of wine each because there was just nothing I could do. No words I could say. A bottle of wine and a bunch of flowers doesn't do anything. But it was just a huge thank you for what they'd actually achieved during that day and how they'd managed to look after the home and the family at a safe and sustainable level. So CQC, if you're watching this, don't come and inspect me. We're all managing safely. But I do urge you to get behind us on this campaign to quash this ridiculous mandate of the vaccine to try and fix this social care crisis. So yeah, my day's been okay. My week's been fine. Mark, how are you?
Yeah, no. Well, I'm a bit like Dawn, so my week's been quiet, but yeah, so I haven't had the drama. I haven't had any drama really since I left managing a care home. So yeah, you need to take a leaf out of Dawn and my book and just, yeah, and relax. No, you know.
Hopefully my boss isn't watching this thinking, oh, God, he's going to jump ship. No, I do want to stay where I am. I do love what I'm doing. It's a case of I feel like if I left, then they would not struggle to find anyone as good as me. That sounds absolutely arrogant, but I would feel like my voice is, the sector's losing another voice that has done nothing but scream and shout for it and try to defend and protect it this last 18 months. And I mean, we'll jump straight into this, which I think is essential, is the survey and the letter that we got out, Mark, through joint partnership with the Outstanding Managers and the Institute for Health and Social Care Management. And that's the stuff we've been doing, is trying to make our voices heard. Obviously falling on ignorant ears, because Helen Whately, if you're watching, you've still not responded to us. Neither is Sajid Javid from our initial open letter, and neither is Jeremy Hunt from the letter we sent to the Health and Social Care Committee. Just saying, invite there to come and talk to us.
The Department of Health and Social Care as well. So they all seem to just be no comment, which is it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
But at some point, somebody's going to have to comment.
Yeah. But the article's done well today. I think we got it in the Telegraph and the Guardian, didn't we? Which was really good. And I think we're at 900 and something responses now to the survey. For anyone that doesn't know, the survey is trying to get a real picture of what social care providers are facing coming up towards November 11th. So are they facing staffing problems? Are they going to have to dismiss people because of the vaccine? What's the vaccine uptake in their care home? So what sort of percentage are they looking at dismissing people? Those sort of general issues, because the impact assessment that the government have done alongside the mandate and the vaccine consultation really isn't of any use. It doesn't take into consideration many things apart from ask your managers to do some more work and be hands-on and recruit more people, which is absolutely fine. But when your managers are then doing 40 hours worth of care and still have to do 40 hours worth of management tasks, and there is no pool of people to recruit from, an impact assessment really isn't worth the paper it's written on. So what we're trying to do is challenge the government to either U-turn on the mandating of the vaccine in November, or provide us with an option. Give us the army. You always drag the army in to do everything else. Bring us the army to help with social care. Survey and found it. Find us on Twitter. We've tweeted about it on Twitter. Social Care Innovators, find them on Twitter. They've tweeted about it. Institute for Health and Social Care Management, they've tweeted about it on Twitter. If you are a care provider and you've not given your voice in the survey yet, please do. It's something that's getting quite a bit of media coverage now, and we need it to try and protect and safeguard social care. So that's all I want to say about that. What else has been going on this week?
Dawn, what's been in?
So there was the announcement of Professional Carers Week, which I'm really excited about, which is once again being run by the Care Workers Charity between, I think it's the 6th and the 10th of September. So I'm really, really, really excited about this, because even though it's being held virtually again, I think that this will pronounce social care that little bit more, and this professional status that these care workers and support workers really, really need. And I spoke to somebody today about it, and they said there's going to be workshops and platforms, and they want input from carers, support workers, from registered managers, deputy managers. And they kind of want us to understand what it's like to work in social care, what it's been like during the pandemic as well, although I don't know whether the whole focus is going to be on that, because obviously it has been for the last 18, 19 months. And they want to create platforms for collaboration and co-production. So I think it's really, really exciting. And I think that many, many people should become involved.
Yeah. And we all love co-production after our show, don't we, Dawn? So
I do now, yes. I love it.
Do you know what's funny is since we did that co-production week, I see it everywhere, all over social media about co-production, and it's great.
Yeah. So I just think it's going to be amazing. And I think that we really need to know and understand from a care worker's point of view what it's like to work in social care and what it's like to come into this remit. And I think loads of valuable information is going to come out of it. So, yeah. I would definitely be participating.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a great awareness week. So, well said, Dawn. I think that leads us nicely on to tonight. So, Adam, I know you want to do a shout out with your book. Yeah.
So this is When I Grow Up, I Want to Be a Carer by the fabulous Jenny Mack. If you've not got your copy yet, go and grab one. They are on Amazon. And I think the money, the profits raised from them are going towards a charity, aren't they? They're not going in Jenny's pocket either, which is absolutely incredible. I mean, if we want to self-select in social care, this is it. And this is doing what our show wants to do tonight, and is really promote the benefit of being a carer, the wonders and the joys of social care. So it's all about this kid going to visit his nan and being inspired by that sort of experience and lived experience, and going, when I grow up, I do want to be a carer. I don't have to be a superhero with a cape. I can be just somebody to make someone else's life much better. Fantastic read. Get it, shove it in your kids' Christmas stockings this year. Get it donated to your local schools. You know, they're all wanting books and stuff in schools. Buy a couple of copies, take them down to your local primary schools. Let's get this disseminated out there. Absolutely fabulous. I am so sorry I missed the week we got Jenny on because I had 1,000 questions. Luckily, I know her quite well, so we get to have chats all the time. But buy the book.
Yeah, I can agree. That book is really good. So tonight we have a couple of guests. We've got Fiona, who's a care worker, and we've also got Hannah, who is new to the sector, or fairly new to the sector as a social worker. So you'll notice that Hannah hasn't got her camera on. We will be sharing the link to her Twitter profile later, but she is remaining anonymous just because of her role. So good evening, Hannah and Fiona. How are you both?
Well, thank you.
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thank you both for joining us tonight. So I think tonight is all about joining social care and highlighting that actually it's never too late to come into the industry. So Fiona, I think I'll come to you first. What's your experience been, and how did you get into working with social care and the role that you're doing at the moment?
Okay, I spent 30 years in education, mostly secondary education, classroom based, teaching, supporting learning difficulties, that type of thing. Christmas 2019, I retired, and after a couple of years of being retired, I felt I wanted to do something else. So we've got a retirement age. My dad, actually, 6 years ago, passed away with dementia, and when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do next, I wanted to give back a little bit to support people in care and with dementia. So, I mean, I've really been in this job a long time, 7 months, I think now, but absolutely love it.
So what is it that you're loving at the moment about this job? Because one thing that the surveys we've been doing at the moment that have been flagging up is people who've either joined and left quite early because their induction periods haven't been successful or training's been a bit poor. But I think it's absolutely fantastic to hear about someone who's recently joined during a worldwide pandemic, and is loving her role. So what is it that you love at the moment?
Right, okay. There's a lot more care. I think when I thought of caring, I thought of the personal care side of things. I didn't think about the caring for relatives as well, and talking to residents and remembering that they've had a life. They're not just someone in a box, and I get an awful lot from that. But I've also found I feel that I've got skills that I can transfer from my previous position. I've worked with outside agencies, communicated on the phone with parents who's been in the past, and now to pick up the phone, have to phone a relative and discuss what's going on. I find that I feel as though I've got something to give.
I love that you said the S word there. It's not one of my favourite S words, but skills and skilled in anything to do with skills around care workers and people who work in care is a must, because there are 1,000 skills we all have doing our roles, whether you like it, say, picking up the phone and communicating with a relative, whether it's sitting down and holding someone's hand during their final hours. These are all skills that not everybody has. And like you say, what did you do before, did you say, Fiona?
I worked in class. I was a science teacher for a fair chunk of time, but I also worked an awful lot of time with special needs. Again, that's communicating and finding a different way to communicate.
Yeah.
Education, everybody can learn. You've got to find out how they can learn. Work in care, we've just got to find the way to reach the people that we're working with.
Yeah, exactly.
And Fiona, do you find that the experience you have, obviously the education setting, has helped you in your role now?
Definitely.
Yeah. In what ways? Oh, go on. Sorry, I was going to say, in what ways has it helped you?
In school, you have to be very patient. You have to learn to listen. And sometimes you have to take things when someone's frustrated. You just have to sit and take it and understand that they're frustrated and then resolve the situation. And I find that very much in my work situation now, that sometimes you see people that are very frustrated and you just have to find a way through that.
I think the great thing about Fiona is she doesn't, when she first came into it, because I know Fiona, when she first came into the role, she didn't think she was very good at it. So she constantly needed this reassurance that she was really, really good at communicating with those with the diagnosis of dementia. And I don't think she realised how good she was until, and then all of a sudden there was a light bulb moment where she suddenly thought, well, yeah, actually, I am quite good at this. And it did take a few months. And I think there's that perception, like Fiona said, when you come into a job like this, it is literally assisting with personal care, helping people eat and drink, filling out some paperwork and going home. But there's so much more to it. And in the complex environment that Fiona started working in, she had to adapt really, really quickly. Do you agree, Fiona?
Absolutely. Actually, you're spot on. And I still need that reassurance because I still don't think I'm very good, but I enjoy what I do.
So, Hannah, is this a sort of similar story for yourself? Is is social care the first sort of career pathway you've gone down, or were you in another sector prior to joining social care?
Yeah, a bit different. I mean, mine's probably quite a lengthy story. I'll try and narrow it down. So I guess my first sort of area of work was probably retail and hospitality when I was like 17, 18, 19. It wasn't something that I really enjoyed. However, for me, I was a care leaver at that time. So I'd spent time as a child in care. So it wasn't quite as easy to pursue, due to money and things like that, to pursue whatever I wanted. I wasn't sure what I wanted. And I think I worked in retail till I was about maybe 20. And I sort of thought, I want to do something different. And that's when I decided to look at doing degrees, university degrees. And I chose social work because of obviously my past experiences. And I know that I wanted to do something that would be rewarding. And I thought that obviously that's helping people. So I started that. I managed to get into university because I was actually homeless. So again, my options were quite limited. But I managed to get into university and get into halls. However, wasn't quite ready. So I did a year and a half and I deferred. But during that time, I thought, I still want to sort of have some work within that area, within sort of social care. Specifically, I wanted to work within children's residential care, but I found that was quite tricky to get into. So I looked around and I thought I'd explore other avenues, and I applied for a home with adults with learning difficulties, mental health and challenging behaviours. That's what it was described as. And I got a job there and I worked there for over a year. I actually resumed my studies while I was there. And I actually really liked it. I didn't think it, because I'd always been children focused, I wasn't sure it would be for me, but I actually really enjoyed it. It could be really difficult at times. But I really liked it, and obviously I had to stop. I stopped working there to finish my degree, and obviously that's where I am now. If that all made any sense.
Yes, no, definitely. And you've completed your degree, is that right?
Yeah, so I've just I've just finished this year. I've just qualified and registered, and I start my new job next month.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
So how did you find your past experience? So obviously working in retail and obviously your experience in life in general, how have you found that's helped within the role, maybe with the learning disability adults that you were looking after?
I think in terms of the learning disabilities, I don't feel like I knew that much about. So obviously a lot of the adults were autistic, or had epilepsy, and things like that, and I didn't really know much about it. But in terms of the general sort of, because I lived in residential care, I felt like I had a background knowledge to how sort of residential care works. Not that there's a general sort of thing, but with sort of just staff and just the structure of it, I felt like I knew quite well. But in terms of the support, I think I learned quickly about obviously different conditions they all had and whatever, but it wasn't something I knew. But by the end, I think I was pretty knowledgeable about autism and epilepsy and other conditions that they had. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed supporting them. Some of them were 1-to-1, some of them were 2-to-1, some of them beyond that. But I enjoyed spending time with them and getting to know them, and obviously you're a massive part of their lives, aren't you? You're in their home.
And I think even though you took that gap from learning and you went and joined that care home, I think actually for your future and your career, that'll be a really big thing, because, and I'm sure Adam and Dawn can agree, I've met social workers that have done limited experience in care services or in home care.
Definitely.
And actually, I sit there and I think you don't know what you're talking about, or you really don't understand where you're coming from. And it's the same sometimes with the CQC.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to give you a really good stead in your career.
Well, and you know what? I think it actually already has, because so obviously as part of my degree, I have to do placements, and I mean, my interest obviously is children's, but I was actually given a child disability placement for my final placement, which wasn't actually something I was interested in, but I found that a lot of my experiences from working in that home really helped me. Obviously, it's children, it's a bit different, but there's actually a lot of similarities still. So I did find that really helped, and hopefully that experience, along with my personal experiences, will help me in the future.
So I think what I find really interesting here is that you both have quite real lived experiences with the sector before actually joining it to work. And, just talking to both of you now, we can see how much that's influenced the decision wanting to join the sector. Obviously, not everyone is going to have had those same lived experiences. So if people are watching this and going, actually, I can't relate because I've never been in care, or I've never known anyone who's needed care, what would you say was also a driving factor to join the sector? So what would you say to these people who may currently be teachers or working in retail going, do you know what, I'm actually really fed up of what I'm doing, I want to do something to give back? What's been the most alluring part of the role to you as you've joined? I'll start with Fiona.
It's hard, really. I mean, for me, it was initially about giving back. I really felt that I just wanted to do a couple of days a week of walking in. I wanted a job that I could walk into and walk out of. But at the end of it all, that you could leave behind at the end of the day. Obviously, my previous job, it wasn't like that at all. And actually, I would say these past couple of weeks particularly, I've been at home and my husband's saying, who are you messaging? Well, I'm just checking up on so-and-so. I just want to know what's happened here. I just want a bit of an update on this situation. I just feel I've been drawn in. And I did think that I was going to try it, see if I liked it. I'm actually 59 now, so I've come into this really late, and I know that I've only got 7 years that I can do this for, and I did think that I was going to do it for just a little while. But
no, you don't, Fiona. You've got years. You've got years left. Age is just a number.
But you know, it's actually, I don't know what the allure is, but I thoroughly enjoy coming in. I really do. It's good.
When you started, Fiona, did you think you were going to enjoy it? Were you sceptical?
I was sceptical, and I keep using this term, giving back, because of obviously Dad had dementia, and it was so hard. A man that I loved dearly, that was very physically fit, become a shell and become frightened if he couldn't see my mum. And I wanted to support him in that situation. And that for me it's become so much more than that now. I just feel part of it. It's a family.
Yeah.
Fiona, you said you wanted a job that you could walk in and walk out. And I think we all chuckled. I'm sure Hannah chuckled as well in the background. How do you feel now? Do you feel like you walk in and you walk out? Because I know that when I've worked in care homes, they're always on your mind, the residents are, or whoever you're looking after.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I've actually today, there is somebody in the care home where I work that is in a difficult situation and time's limited. And I've said that I want to be kept up to date all the time. So I'm not walking out.
Yeah.
It didn't work, did it?
It never does. Adam.
Yeah, so Hannah, same question really. Obviously, we know your lived experience and your focus has been on children's care, but learning disability is completely new to you. What was the best thing about that role to you? For anyone who's thinking that care is just about elderly people, it isn't. There are so many different dimensions. So what was it about learning disabilities that really brought you that satisfaction in your role?
I think for me, what was really rewarding and sort of kept me there was just the difference I could make in the daily life of those I worked with. And, they all had such unique personalities, and like some of them I was, really close with. In fact, I think, one of the ones I was close with, he was nonverbal, but, I just enjoyed taking him out all the time and just making his life a bit better. They're in this house all the time, and they're limited with their independence, and just trying to promote that and just promote them to have a better quality of life, and just sort of being an advocate for them. I might have sometimes seen other staff not treating them how I think they should be treated, so being able to sort of be that advocate for them, I think, was really important and really rewarding. It was quite tricky to leave, actually, to be honest, because you build those relationships. So yeah.
And I think that's, part of the reason why we want to have this conversation tonight, because there are so many myths about social care and working in social care that I think we owe the sector to dispel. So, Mark, Dawn, I don't know whether you've got any misconceptions of social care. The first one I'm going to say, and I apologise if this sounds crude, but I think it needs to be said because this is what people say, care is not just about bum wiping. I'm going to say it. It isn't. It is so much more. It is so much more. But that personal care aspect is equally as important to everything else that we do. The way I say it is, if I needed someone to be able to provide me with that care, that level of respect and trust has to be so tremendous for us to be able to relate to those people providing us that care, that in itself is an honor. It's an achievement. It's a reward to be able to look after someone who trusts us that much. What other myths do we think we need to dispel tonight about social care?
I think for me, going into it, I think it was when I first started, because it is my 25th year this year.
No.
Yeah, it's got 1996.
That's like me and Adam's. That's like our age, Dawn.
I think it was this whole task-led approach. Everybody gets up by 9. Everybody has breakfast by 12:30. Everybody has lunch at midday. A tea trolley goes round at 11 and 3. Everybody has lunch and goes to the dining room. Everybody queues at the toilet in a wheelchair, and they all queue in those rather lovely queues where there's wheelchairs all down the corridor. And then everybody has tea at 4:30. Everybody has a cup of tea with their tea, not a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. And then everybody's in bed by 8 because you can't leave anybody up for the night stuff. And I think, and that's a massive, massive misconception, that I think people think they can just go in and structure people's lives and there's going to be this routine, and that just can't happen. And I think that's huge. I've had carers start with me over my management career saying, "Oh no, you can't have a cup of tea because you had one half an hour ago." Really? No, and I think it's that misconception that we're there to kind of rule the shift, rule the 12 hours while we're there, to make sure that everybody gets this at 11, everybody gets a pad change at midday just before lunch. It's that misconception that it's all got to be task led and it's all got to be routine. That's with me, yeah.
So if you're watching this and you're thinking about joining social care, you're not going to be in an institutionalized sector.
No.
We're not about institutionalization. And if you join somewhere that is, unfortunately archaic and institutionalized, change it. You're coming into the sector for a reason. Change it from the ground up. We did, so you can do it too. Mark.
I think for me it's that all care is the same. And I think that's just like what you were saying. You will have some care homes or some home care companies that are doing it a certain way. And I think for me, definitely in my career, it's been about what my values are and what I believe in. And actually, if you're working for a company that your values don't align, then actually leave and go to a care company that does. And I think just because you might have worked in an elderly care home, for instance, and you're not necessarily enjoying it because life might be a lot slower than you want it to be, actually then move over to what Hannah's done and go and work in a learning disability service where you're out and about and you're supporting people to access the community and to have a fulfilled life. And I think quite often we need to direct staff, because I think sometimes they come into the industry looking for one thing and actually you can move them around the industry into other roles. And I think another myth for me is that once you're a care worker, you're just a care worker, which is a phrase I absolutely hate. But actually, there's such a big career pathway. And actually, out of all the industries, other than probably the NHS, which is probably very aligned, is that there is such a big career pathway. You might start as a care worker or a senior care worker or an admin, but actually there's so many roles that you can go to that you don't even think about. And I think, we spoke about the book at the beginning of the show, and actually the lady who wrote that, was an activities lead. She's now a marketing executive. And, you can go into advertising, you can go into marketing, you can go into payroll. So if you've got skills and things that, you're passionate about, you can use those skills to benefit the service that you're working for.
Absolutely. And Fiona will tell you. So already Fiona is a senior care assistant. So Fiona has adjusted her skill set and is already given medications and leading a team. And I think that she's amazing at it. And I know that was a big thing for Fiona, moving on to other bits and pieces and all the training and everything that was associated with it. So how did you feel about that, Fiona?
It's really funny that you should say that, because yes, I mean, obviously I've been in the senior carer role just for 2 or 3 weeks now, but I feel as though it's a role where I'm more comfortable. I'm office-based, organised, as well as out on the floor, and yeah. I'm thoroughly enjoying that. Actually, it feels more comfortable to me. But I think, we talk about caring for the residents in our care home. But for me, that is an absolute privilege. And we can't forget that. That truly is a privilege to be allowed to do that care. But I see wives, husbands, sons, daughters watching their loved ones change. And to care for them, to me, is very, very important, and something that I particularly have got a lot of time for, because I watched my dad and I know that I can empathise. To me, that's very important.
Yeah, 100%. You've got to have empathy to be able to do this job. You know, you might have different skills, but if you haven't got empathy, there's no way you can do the role. Hannah, how do you feel like your skills that you've acquired both pre-working in social care and obviously through your time with the Learning Disability Service are going to help with your role as a social worker? Do you see that they're transferable and that you're able to make a difference there?
Yeah, I like to think so. I think definitely, yeah, I think all, like you say, any aspect of social care that you live in or work in, I think they all give you skills that are transferable. I mean, just your empathy skills, communication skills, I think all of it will help. I like to think will help with my future career and my ability to build relationships with people and help them. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
No, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. And I think, I mentioned it earlier, having a social worker that has got insight knowledge and has done the job goes a long way. It definitely, when I was managing care homes, and I'm sure Dawn will absolutely agree that it's vital. It's absolutely vital.
Yeah, I think a social worker that has little understanding of the remit can make things really, really difficult. And, I have seen some of those where I've told the social worker the next steps or the next challenge or what I think should be put in place. And I think that Hannah's going to do an amazing job because she's already got that kind of background insight. And anybody who can work in retail, Hannah, definitely has transferable skills as far as I'm concerned, because I couldn't do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Hannah, what would you say to anybody working in retail right now about making the shift from, whatever aspects in retail they're doing to joining social care? What would your advice be?
I would say if you're working in retail and you're not enjoying it and you're feeling it's going nowhere and you want to change, and if you're looking for a job that will sort of it's more with, obviously retail's with people, but building more meaningful relationships with people and having an impact on people's lives, and it's just overall more rewarding, I'd say try and go over to a job in social care. I mean, if you don't know what you'd like, just apply for any sort of jobs in social care and just see where you go, really. But I think if you're feeling that way like I was, it's definitely good to make a change. And it's such a big, I don't know what the word is, but social care is massive. There's so many parts to it. And I think, taking that step can open a lot of doors.
Yeah. No. And what about you, Fiona? Somebody that might be working in a school or a teaching assistant, and what would you say to them? They're currently on their 6 weeks holidays or 7 weeks down here. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say also to people that are of my age coming up to retirement. Retirement's not all it's cracked up to be, You don't get bank holidays. So give a little back. Just do a day or 2 a week and you'll be surprised what you get out of it. This is enriching my life, as well as being given the privilege to help somewhere else. And I think we've all got something to give. We really have all got something to give. It's one of the best things I've done. So I would say definitely give it a go. You don't know until you try, do you? And you get bank holidays back again.
I think one thing that I'm really happy we've discussed tonight is the fact that the sector is so wide. And I can't even count on one hand how many different areas you can go into. Elderly residential, elderly nursing, elderly E&I, child residential, supported living, learning disability residential, learning disability supported living, extra housing care. You can even be a nurse in social care. You don't have to be an NHS worker to be a nurse. You can train up and become a nurse in social care. You can actually do your training whilst in social care. You can get sponsors to become a nurse whilst working in social care. The variety of roles and it's just like a platter of wonderful jobs. So like Mark said before, if you do one, you don't like it, don't leave the sector, try something else. Try something else, because we're all crying out for roles. We're all crying out for people to join us, and you want to be a carer and remain at that position, fantastic. We need wonderful people like that. You want to do what Mark Dawn and I did and advance the ranks, become managers, even better, become leaders, become people who want to influence the sector, who want to change lives for the better. What I want to know is, what is an average day for you both? So, we've already spoken about what care isn't. What do you do in a normal day? Just let people know how, I'm hoping your lives are fun, your days are fun in social care, but what are the sort of fun things we can get up to and expect, other than providing people with that really respectful personal care that they need? I know poo, we vomit, it puts people off at times, but we all do it. It ain't no secret, we all do it, and we've got to look past it to be able to provide this dignity for people. I know some people really will not be able to do it, but we have to look past that and provide that dignified care. What else can we do in our roles that really enhance lives? Either of you, any of you, I love to hear. I love stories.
Well, I don't quite know how many cups of tea I make a day, how many plates of biscuits I take round, and I always try to sit down with those cups of tea and just have a chat. And quite often it's the same chat that I had maybe this morning, yesterday, but it's still good to sit and listen. And that to me, that's one of the biggest things. Obviously it's medication now, because of I'm a senior, and it's walking around and making sure the floor's clean, tidy, the tables are laid, and all of those bits and pieces. But I love taking the time to make those cups of tea and to sit down, and yeah, it is coffee sometimes, but to sit down and have those conversations and spend time. That's what I love.
Hannah, what about for you?
Obviously it was a couple of years ago now since I was in social care, but I think, each day was different, and I know, for me, we got to do loads of fun stuff with the adults, and expanding their sort of activities that they do and trying to help them to learn new skills and sort of develop new abilities. We're always doing different things with them and trying to keep them busy and happy, and I don't know if that answers the question, but
I completely understand what you mean, because the large majority of my experience has been with learning disabilities, and you are right, every day is completely different, and you're just out and about, like you said, helping them achieve goals. And I know that in past episodes we've spoken about, how people with learning disabilities, they tend to have a goal, and you break that down into steps, and you achieve those steps, and you recognize it and you celebrate it, and completely opposite end of the spectrum than maybe an elderly service. And I think it's also important that, we sit here with two people that have worked in care homes, but that we mention home care, because it's such a big part of what social care is. And I think, Adam, you obviously work across,
How did I forget home care?
What's that?
I run a home care service, and I just sat here and reeled off all these plumbing care sectors, and home care, about that. Domiciliary care, awesome.
Yeah, home care is fantastic. It's such a big part of the industry, and I think it's quite often forgotten about. And actually, hats off to those care workers that driving around or walking around on their own, large majorities of the day, lone working, that are making a difference to people. When it's snowing and we're all tucked up, or in the care home, they're trudging through the snow or riding a bicycle through the rain. But actually, I remember when I did home care, and when you leave somebody, the difference that you've truly made, even if you're there, just on a companionship visit. And like Fiona said, just sitting down with somebody, having a conversation can truly make a difference to somebody's day. So it is that definitely for home care, there's a lot that isn't, personal care orientated. There are a lot of social inclusion visits out there. And there are companies that just specify in that. There's companies that specify and, have tapped into the living market. And, one of our previous episodes, was all about living care. So, if you don't want to be in a care home or you don't want to be traveling around the community, being in one space and living with somebody and truly making a difference to their lives, is a possibility as well.
I just have a plea for anyone who's considering using home care services for their loved one. If your house has got a funky name or a number that's really hard to read, make sure that you, make it bigger, put it on a post near the drive, because I can tell you, driving around at night, it is nigh impossible trying to find someone's house. And it just adds to the pressure, especially when it's chucking you down and your headlights are flashing at you and you can't see your signs. I love home care. I never did home care before I joined Keppel Gate, and I absolutely love it. I love going out in the evenings and just going around and chatting to people, if anything. It's just wonderful. And everyone offers you a brew, and you'd be able to drink it, times before COVID, and take your mask off and have a biscuit and a scone. So you pile the weight on. You need a wee every single visit. But no, absolutely love home care. I love it. I'm not being rude, and I know this is becoming a bit of a frequent thing for myself. I do have to dash. I've got a phone call that I just need to make, and I will be going on to GB News within the next sort of 15 minutes to discuss the letter and the social care survey. So I just wanted to depart and say thank you so much, Fiona and Hannah, for joining us. I'm sorry that I'm having to dash. I was hoping to be able to stay on till past. I've just had something come through, the wonders of working in social care leadership. So I will dash and say goodbye. And thank you so much, Mark and Dawn, again.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't even know how to leave.
So, Fiona, one thing I wanted to touch on, obviously you joined working in the care industry later on in your life. And like you've told us, you're now a senior support worker. How did you find that, that upskilling and the training that you had to be upskilled into the senior role from the care worker?
Right. We think of going back to the beginning when I came in as a carer. That was a brand new learning curve. I had so much to learn about personal care, about assisting people with feeding, all those sorts of things that it seems though everybody knew how to do. I had to learn to do. But as I was learning skills, I was watching people with them. I was listening to, when I was in the office, I was overhearing phone calls to different agencies. And I was actually thinking, do you know, I can do that. I know I can do that. That's something that I'm very used to doing. Just in a different setting. So when I was given the opportunity to do this, I thought, oh, here we go, I've got more to learn, but that's okay because I enjoy learning. I actually, the Red Crier, is it Red Crier? Manuals you get, the teaching that you get, I think I've done everything that they threw at me and thoroughly enjoyed it as well. I was expecting it to come back marked, but it didn't. It was just, but no, moving on, it was actually easier, because I knew I was going into something that I could do.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And I think, we've definitely spoken on the show before about how vital it is that, people coming into the industry of whatever age is about, training and having the skills and, making sure that we harness those skills to the, and like you just said, actually you feel more comfortable in the senior role than you did as a care and support worker. And it's about harnessing, people's skills and adapting, roles so that, you can bring out the best of people.
But also, sorry, I'm interrupting, I apologise. With my age, to do care, personal care, and being on my feet, if you like, all day, because of where I work, it's 12-hour shifts. That was another thing for me to take into consideration. That was quite hard. So now the senior role, I actually get to sit down occasionally. So for me, it's a little easier.
I love that. And I'm sure Hannah will tell you, if you work with learning disabilities, you can sit down for a large majority of the day when you're teaching people about using public transport, buses and trains and bits and pieces. So Hannah, how did you find your induction? I know it's obviously a couple of years ago, but how did you find, coming into social care and the training that you had?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of it was just sort of your online kind of stuff. Adult social care, and I can't even remember what else, but the sort of standard stuff. I think I got to shadow when I started. But yeah, I mean, it's quite tricky for me because there's quite a high staff turnover where I worked, and as I joined, loads of people had left. So it's quite short staffed, and then loads of people joined like a month or so after. So my induction wasn't amazing, but I sort of picked it up pretty quick anyway. It's just sort of through shadowing. I think I'm more of a hands-on learner. Obviously, I read through people's files, but until you work with them, it's not going to click into place. So I think, yeah, it's just sort of you learn as you go, really. And there's always more things to learn as you go on, really, isn't there? You just sort of pick it up.
Yeah, I agree. No amount of reading, the care plan, the risk assessment can ever really give you a true insight into the person. It is getting to know them and being hands-on.
Yeah.
Dawn,
I think the premise of induction has massively changed. So I think when I started, yes, Mark, in 1996, I had no induction. I was taught how to clean a commode and how to make a pot of tea for 25 people with 6 tea bags. That was the premise of my induction when I started as a YT girl all those years ago. And I think the importance of induction and the importance of allowing people that time in order to even just spend time walking around or sitting with people, like Hannah said, reading the care plan and then associating that with the individual is really important. And I think has massively changed. When I first started as a manager or a deputy, induction was a tick box. It was literally a tick box where I just ticked and said, have you read the health and safety? Yeah, you've read that. Have you done this? Have you done that? And I think it's massively changed. And I think the premise on it has to be adapted to each individual because, like Hannah said, everybody learns differently. I learn by watching. I'm not a great person at reading things. It doesn't tend to sink in straight away. I'm more of a hands-on, and then I can generally go on and get on with it. But everybody's different, and I think everybody's induction, the premise of it is massive and really, really important.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And I think, when I was managing care services, I'd always say there is no end to your induction. Like it is when you're ready. So if it's home care and you want, 3, 4, 5 weeks, then you have 3, 4, 5 weeks. It's the care home and, you want a week, you want, whatever. It's until you're comfortable in that role before we obviously let you go out and support people alone. And I think back to my induction, and actually mine was 15 years ago. And I remember I started on nights, and I remember coming in 15 minutes early for handover and being given these big bunch of keys. And I actually remember it was the residents of that care home, and they were living with a learning disability, that were actually telling me where the laundry room was, where the things were, what I needed to do. And I look back and I think, thank God there was no medication. Thank God there was actually, I knew who, from the paperwork, I knew who needed a night check and, who needed check-in. But yeah, I look back and I think, gosh, so many people would have left that role. And I think actually that drives me that whenever I obviously induct somebody, I remember that and think, actually, what would I have wanted back then? So it's nice that, you've had both you, Hannah and Fiona, you've had very different inductions, but actually, you learn from them and it builds you as a person. And I'm sure, Fiona, for you, for your induction, you can use that now, obviously, if you're inducting new staff under your senior role.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't very good at induction because I felt that I knew how to make a bed. So even on my first few days where I was meant to just watch, I said, I can just make the bed. I can just do that, because I'm very good at standing watching. Have to just interfere a little bit. And we've got somebody today that has started induction, and one of the care workers that was put with this person said, "Oh, she can't do anything today." I said, "She can make a bed. Yeah, I'm sure. Just she can't lead anything, but don't necessarily make her just stand and do nothing. It'd be a very hours."
Yeah, that's the worst, isn't it? When you're not doing anything as part of your induction or whatever you're doing, even if you've been there for 10 years in the role, you still want to be doing something. Otherwise, your day just goes so slow. Mm-hmm. Dawn, have you got any final questions at all? I'm conscious that we're on 55 minutes.
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask Hannah: is she going into a local authority remit, or is she going into like a care home as a social worker?
I am doing so you do like a support, you can do like a supported year. I'm doing within the local authority.
Oh, amazing.
But then, I don't know what I'll be doing after that. See where I'm in a year.
Lovely. Now, I was just interested because I know there's a lot of social workers now working within care homes and within services. So I was just interested to see. And then you'll be offered other progression as you move forward, Hannah?
Yeah, so how it works is you can do this year, and then you can go into another team within the local authority, or you could just go and do another job. I think it's just worth doing the year because a lot of jobs want post-qualifying experience. So and it's supported to sort of ease you from student to social worker. But you can progress from there within the role. Within the local authority if you choose to. So.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations to both of you, Hannah, on your degree. New into kind of social work, and also Fiona. It's fabulous that you've come out of retirement, you've joined the care industry, and actually you love it, and that's what it's all about. And I want to thank both of you for joining us tonight. It's actually been really inspiring listening to both of your stories and your experiences and where you've been and where you've come from and where you're at now. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Dawn, next week, what have we got? Do you remember? It's always a tricky question, isn't it? Whether we remember what's coming up.
It's the question that I worry about throughout the whole hour because I'm thinking, what is next week? I'm pretty sure it's Aging Without Children.
It is, yes.
Am I correct?
Right. Yeah, you are correct. So, normally we leave that to Adam. So, it is Aging Without Children. We have got Aging Without Children. We've got a company that specialises in that, but we've also got somebody without children. And I think, for me, it's going to be a really big learning curve because I've got 3 of my own. Dawn's got children. So it's definitely for me going to be a learning curve about, social care from that point of view. And I'm really looking forward to it. But
I've had a really good read of the toolkit and it is going to be amazing. And I think that it will pronounce and assist people who don't have children and require that advocate and that status and require that support. So I'm really excited about next week.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be a good one. I think as well for awareness as a whole for the sector, a bit like when we did the Living Care Week. I think it's definitely going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Well, Hannah, Fiona, thank you very much once again for joining us. I hope you both have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us on.
Fiona can go home now.
It's been a long day.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for coming on even though you're at work. That must have been really difficult. So thank you for your time.
No, you're welcome. They've been quite quiet out there.
You probably won't leave. You'll probably now go and, if you're anything like me, go and natter for about half an hour before you actually go home.
Have you put a big sign on the door, Fiona, that says "Do not disturb" so no one comes in?
No, I haven't. But I did sort of actually make it quite well known that no one was to put the code in the door.
Well, thank you very, very much, and thank you, Hannah. And I wish you a lot of luck, Hannah, in your new role.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck, Hannah. And I'm looking forward to following you on Twitter. And Hannah's Twitter handle is going across the bottom right now. So definitely, go and give her a follow. And going to follow your journey, Hannah. But if you ever need anything, you know where we are. Just give us a shout. But I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine.
Thank you.
Right. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again for joining us tonight on The Caring View. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And whilst you're here, check out some of the other videos that we've got up online. If you've got something that you think may be interesting for us to discuss, or if you want to guest spot with us, then drop us an email to thecaringview@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, find us on Facebook. All the information is down there in the description box. But until then, have a good evening, stay safe, and we'll see you next week.